Another, it is still deeply disappointing to see what politics has become in this moment. To have to deal with regular death threats where I'm told that someone is going to blow up my car and is going to kill me and my family and the people that I love.
Cool. That's not cool.
I mean, frankly, it's like, okay, you disagree with his policies, Why is it that the number one line of attack against him...
Y'all could have disagreed with Trump policies. But now what? I know they're not going to come on here and cry racism, bro.
Yeah, that's what they're about to do. That's exactly what she's setting up for right now.
To have to deal with regular death threats where I'm told that someone is going to blow up my car and is going to kill me and my family and the people that I love.
I might not believe him. I might not believe him now.
I mean, frankly, it's like, okay, you disagree with his policies, Why is it that the number one line of attack against him on the right is that he's Muslim?
I don't know if that is number one attack, Abby. I mean, I think in our conversation tonight, we've been focused pretty much on the policy.
I mean, you have. I'm not talking
New
about
York, Muslim,
you.
is it clicking?
Look, you're invited to this table. I'm talking about the people
9/11.
who, as we just showed, that is what they say. He's a Muslim. He's an immigrant. This is what makes him unacceptable.
I'm not going to sit here and condone it.
I'm sorry, I don't want to pause it, but they are voting for him, though. That is pretty weird, though.
I do think that is what makes him unacceptable. I do think both of those things are what makes him unacceptable.
They're voting for him,
and I understand that. And I understand that. And it's because he's promising socialism in one of the most expensive places to live. So obviously, we know that the left likes handouts. They like free tickets. They want to have the government be their daddy and hold their hand. And that's exactly what he's proposing. He's proposing price controls, government-owned grocery stores.
But you're saying rich people voted for him, too, though.
Oh, yeah. If you look at the voting map, it was mainly majority white districts.
So why would they want that, then?
Because they're liberals. White liberals are one of the greatest threats to this country. And I'll tell you why. Because they're the majority. And they enable every other liberal group.
Hey, man, we got to get Eric Adams in there, man.
And we know liberals are dangerous.
I'm talking about you. Look, you're invited to this table. I'm talking about the people who, as we just showed, that is what they say. He's a Muslim. He's an immigrant. This is what makes him unacceptable.
I'm not going to sit here and condone it, Abby. I think the reality, though, is...
You condemn it?
Yeah, sure. But I think there's performative artists on both sides, in both sides of politics today. And as intolerable as some of the rhetoric is, the reality is that the last two assassination attempts on Donald Trump were from leftists. Assassination attempt on Brett Kavanaugh is from leftists. So we condemn the rhetoric on the right, but it seems like it's always focused on the right and actually not focused on the actions on the left.
Yo, 2 elected officials in Minnesota were killed. They were Democrats. That wasn't an assassination attempt. They were killed.
They were killed. And
Hold on, let me finish.
There's still a question about the motive of the person who did it.
These were 2 Democratic elected officials in Minnesota who were killed. The Tree of Life synagogue shooting, killed. Christchurch, New Zealand, slaughtered. AME Church in South Carolina. On and on and on.
Catholic,
this is America.
Catholic
pro-life
ministries
And the problem is
bombed.
we are not dealing with America's original sin and its disease of hate and racism towards black and brown people and sexism towards women and anti-LGBTQ sentiment. We are not dealing with that. Your colleagues in the Republican Party do not hold each other accountable when it comes to the racism that comes from the party on a consistent basis.
Congressman, I mean, where are you on
You
the
can't be calm about this. I'm a black man in America. The reason why heart disease...
I'm white, I can't comment
Listen to what I'm saying. The reason why heart disease and cancer and obesity and diabetes are bigger in the black community is because of the stress we carry from having to deal with...
Did the niggas
He didn't even finish the statement and he paused it. He didn't even finish the statement.
all the nigga gotta do is some burpees, sit-ups.
No, it's interesting that was his cop out.
Right.
Literally, all you have to do is exercise the same as anyone else. That is absolutely ridiculous to me. That is absolutely, and then like in the gym community, there's like no racism.
If black people consume this shit, if they watch this, they'd be like, hold on, that brother was wrong there. So the problem is they know niggas only gonna watch this shit when it's time to vote. But if black people heard this shit, they wouldn't even agree with this shit right here, brother.
They will.
I don't think that would have to be the highest level of an idiot ever.
I promise you I could go.
You calling black people dumb then. You calling black, if you think black people agree with what he just said, you calling black people dumb.
I'm not calling black people
dumb.
Yeah,
you are then.
But I promise you if I go down the street at the bus stop and grab 3 people to sit down in this chair and tell them to watch this, I bet they probably agree with this nigga.
Then
Sorry for saying that word. y'all.
I know what you're basically calling our people then, brother. Because if it's just no way. Every black person knows how black people eat.
Hey, well, he's a fat guy making an excuse for fat people and health issues being tied to racism.
Is he the fattest guy on the panel?
In America,
And it's
the
probably
reason why
close.
heart disease,
I'm white, I can't comment on
Listen
that.
to what I'm saying. The
Is
reason
that what
why
he is?
heart disease and cancer
Pretty
and
racist.
obesity
I can't
and
comment on that.
diabetes are bigger in the
So-
black community is because of the stress we carry from having to deal with being called the N-word directly or
crazy.
indirectly every day.
call each other the
If your colleagues
Literally.
would listen and
Literally.
try to learn and engage and grow and stop being so hateful, we could have a better country.
Jamal.
But unfortunately, we're still here.
That's
Smack him on the back.
Jamal,
of the head.
I feel your passion, and I understand where you're coming from, sincerely. I really, really do.
But you're
it
an
happens
idiot.
on both sides, Jamal. You might think it happens
Oh,
more on your
man,
side.
dog,
Jamal,
you
Jamal,
can't
Jamal, when I leave,
He had to talk
when I
to
leave the
Baby
show,
Fat.
Jamal, you should see my
People
Twitter
to
feed.
death.
I mean,
And they're acquitted. Rodney King,
Oh, my
Abdul
gosh.
Malema, Eric
We wasn't even
Garner,
born when that happened.
Trayvon Martin, black cops in Memphis. It's not the same. And I don't want to qualify or quantify pain. That's not what I'm talking about. Everyone goes through pain. But the racism in this country is the disease that will destroy us. And it's destroying us right now as we speak.
You're bringing it up,
January
though,
6th, everybody was
We're
partying.
Bro
not
said January
dumb.
6th.
Everybody's partying. Riots
He's
in LA,
smiling.
they're insurrectionists. But we partying everyone January
You know what?
6th.
So, Congressman, I
This
was
is
there,
America.
It's getting around election time. He trying to get his name up on the ballot.
He already
What
lost
is he?
already.
What is he? Yeah, he's
He
trying to
lost
help
already.
this.
I
He's
thought
he's
October
he's
coming.
he's a failed politician turned racial grifter, race hustling grifter.
So
I'll
he
tell
don't
you-
got a book.
No, they say he got a podcast though.
He running again, bro.
Bro,
Maybe
running for
Maybe,
what?
but listen.
The next election,
Like
is an election coming up.
But like you said, we call each other the N word. So when you try to use the N word as an argument that it's so racist and offensive, you have to look at the fact that we call each other that. Like it's so common, like it's like second nature.
It slips out my mouth sometimes, and I'm sorry I say it, y'all.
Let him finish, bro. Let him finish.
Nah, man, I'm dumber for listening to this.
Not
Yeah.
the same. And I don't want to qualify or quantify pain. That's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Everyone goes through pain. But the racism in this country is the disease that will destroy us. And it's destroying us right now as we speak.
You're a divided
January
country.
6th,
100%.
everybody was pardoned. Everybody's pardoned. Riots in LA,
did that have to
they're
do with
insurrectionists. But we pardoned everyone January 6th.
So, Congressman, I
What
was
does that
there.
have to do with
I was
racism?
evacuated January 6th. That was not a racist incident. I don't know why you're making that.
Thank you. The Capitol with a
I was
Confederate
there.
flag.
I was evacuated, Congressman.
What does the Confederate flag represent?
Come on, Congressman.
I'm asking you a question.
This was not. This was about a riot in the Capitol.
When you
To suggest-
erect a
of
wooden
course,
cross in
yeah.
American history, what does that mean? Google black
there's-
lynchings in the South and watch the images that come up with black people hanging from trees and white
What's the
people
black
looking
man
and
in
eating
today's
sandwiches.
society?
This
In
is America.
in
We're going to deal with it or
America's-
not.
Let me-
Why are you in denial?
Stop it! I'm not saying.
Let me let
America's
Mark
But those are
respond.
just
actually fought among itself to free slaves.
So, I mean, but what are you suggesting, Mark? I mean, I think, listen, I don't think it's helpful
Mark,
to be
what is he
in a sort of
suggesting?
pain Olympics around this.
Abby, what is Jamal suggesting?
He's having the pain Olympics. She talking about we shouldn't have a pain Olympics. This dude is quite literally having a pain Olympics. All this checklist of history of things that happened to black people. Oh, America is
We
racist.
know.
That
Brother,
stuff is- it's bad.
It's bad,
two
bro.
black. It's bad. Yes, it's two black people sitting on the panel on CNN making six-figure jobs. He was a freaking congressperson. He was in the government. And America's racist? Because we don't want a dude that wasn't born here and doesn't have our values to hold government? That's racist? Get the F out of here, bro. I'm not hearing that crap. That's nonsense.
Google black lynchings in the South and watch the images that come up with black people hanging from trees and
What is
white
the
people
modern
looking
day
and eating
black
sandwiches. This
And
is America.
and
We're going to deal with it or
America's
not.
the only-
Why are you in denial?
Stop it! I'm not saying.
Let me let
America's
Mark
the only
respond.
nation that actually fought among itself to free slaves.
So, I mean, but what are you suggesting, Mark? I mean, I think, listen, I don't think it's helpful to be in a sort of pain Olympics around this stuff, right? However, I think it is both true that there is a lot of racist violence in this country today, political violence in this country today. The political violence does sometimes target people on the left, sometimes it targets people on the right. But I mean, I don't think it's helpful to sit here and be like, well, it's more on the left, because I actually don't even think that that's true. I mean, I think we've seen plenty of examples of political violence coming from the right, and I think acknowledging that is part of what the conversation's about.
Wow.
No
Did
kings?
not acknowledge
Wow.
that. I've condemned
That's
it as
absurd.
well. My point is that it seems like we can constantly focus on the rhetoric on the right when there have been significant actions of assassination attempts against
Right. I mean, I
Republican
heard you say
conservatives
that,
get less
but I think
coverage.
his point was,
Less
you're
coverage.
saying that it's about rhetoric on the right. He is saying that there has actually been violence on the right, and you cannot minimize it to just rhetoric
But
when
also,
we've seen
Mark,
the
I
violence.
think we need to hold.
That's the point that he's
I
trying to
think we
make.
need to hold elected
Violence on the
officials
right?
and people in public office to a different
Agreed.
standard, right? They have a bigger bully pulpit, and what we see, like for example, let's talk about what's happening with ICE right now. All over the country, a lot of it in
Another
LA.
immigrant talking about
there's
ICE.
Hundreds of thousands, over 1 million white people who've overstayed their visa and are here undocumented. But I don't see ICE going to where
They're getting
the
deported.
Russians are in North Miami Beach. I see them going to the Home Depots. I see them going to the farms. I see them going to the places where hardworking Latino, brown immigrants are that they can easily spot. I see them stopping Latino U.S. citizens because they think they might be undocumented. I see them stopping and detaining Latino legal permanent residents because they think that they might be undocumented.
Can I say
see
something?
them beating the head.
That is probably likely due to racial profiling. Where does racial profiling stem from? Well, when a certain group constantly fits the bill, other people in that group are going to suffer the consequences of that. Like, example, like black people getting followed around the store. Why are they following you around the store? Because there's a lot of black people before you that have stolen.
Sad truth.
The police being more on guard around black men. Why? Because black people before you have been disruptive with the police. So when you look at illegal immigrant statistics, majority of them are of Hispanic descent. So if they're going to get illegals, a lot of Hispanic people are going to get caught up in that. I mean, it's just what happens here. Like, if we don't want this to happen, then we need to tell those illegal Latinos to leave. And I'm sure ICE has deported plenty of people that are white as well. I mean, but I don't understand why we're just making this a race issue. Like, illegals are illegal. People are getting, you broke the law, regardless of race, you're going to suffer the
They
consequence
need
of it.
illegals to also push their narrative.
Or to vote for them.
Yeah, man. Every time there's a bill that involves doing something to illegals and making them suffer consequences, Democrats vote against it. So it's very obvious what type of game we're playing here. And to just make it seem like there's just this racial thing going on the right, I just don't think that's true.
Yeah,
personally,
they say it could be possibly like 5,000 of them deported, roughly.
whites
No, that are just not non-Mexican.
only 5,000.
Yeah.
Wow, it's kind of a small number.
But I mean, who knows? I mean, because you think about it, it's been a lot of people that's come from like Africa and stuff that came over here. So I'm pretty sure it's been more. That's just, who knows if that's a bullshit stat.
Being Latino U.S. citizens because they think they might be undocumented. I see them stopping and detaining Latino legal permanent residents because they think that they might be undocumented. I see them beating the head of the father of 3 U.S. Marines on the ground repeatedly as they detain him, a Latino man. And so that is racism. What's happening right now by the administration is racial profiling against the Latino community. We are being hunted down in the streets.
A huge number of
We are being hunted.
officers are Latino. You know that.
I know
The
that.
assassination attempts.
It's incredibly
The
painful to
assassination
see.
attempts on Donald Trump were deplorable, and the people who did it should face justice. No one asked what religion they were and tried to blame the entire people who belong to that faith on what that person did. There are 2 billion Muslims in this world. The notion that we're stereotyping, and by the way, it wasn't just a new 9/11. Charlie Kirk tried to tie him to 9/11. Right? And it just brings up as an Arab American, it brings up so much feelings of otherness and the pain that people felt after the Islamophobic attacks that continue to this day, that so many minority groups are feeling. It just continues to trigger people with all of the kind of language that we're hearing from this administration. And it just isn't stopping. And it's the role of President Trump to lower the temperature, and instead he just keeps hiking.
Mandami is an immigrant, and the whole Stephen Miller of it all. I mean, he is essentially saying that because a Muslim immigrant can win an election in this country, that is a sign of how broken the country is.
That's wrong because, I mean, that's just wrong. And I say that with all heart because Muslims, Jewish, Catholic, I mean, we can go on, voted for Mamdani yesterday.
Why are we
A
doing
lot
this?
across
In
the board
America.
voted for him.
He's
So
right, though.
This
No, he's
notion
right,
that
though.
if
No,
you
he's
are,
right. No, I'm saying.
if you're not Muslim, you can't be voting for.
And we're all slaves or immigrants.
Come on, that doesn't. That's
Former
not-
slaves.
But Abby, I personally feel like it starts at the bottom, Abby.
He
I
might
really
be
do. I mean,
number one.
I've been to a
You didn't
couple
know
T-ball
what the
games.
bathroom was at.
Two parents argue over a
might be
call at a
concerned.
T-ball game, and it just they want to fight, and it seems like everybody wants to fight, and that's a challenge. And
Dog,
I don't know.
I don't wanna fight.
I don't know. It's just Trump's rhetoric.
Well, I don't want to fight. I just want to chill. I just want to not. I was walking down the street the other day. Some white dude, bald head, he looked me, called me a piece of shit to my face. Said,
You
I'm
are.
gonna get what's coming to me.
You
Why
are.
I gotta deal with that, dog? In Yonkers, New York.
Well, can I tell you something?
I'm not making that up.
Stephen Miller needs to remember that the current First Lady of the United States is also an immigrant.
Okay.
I mean, Donald Trump.
Okay.
Donald
She's not-
Trump's
Immigrants, slaves.
grandparents were immigrants. I mean,
you know
look,
what's really-
listen. I, mean,
Muslims.
I don't know who said it, but we're all immigrants, right?
Your mom-
So,
Our ancestors
really
were
I'm not an
slaves.
immigrant.
What's really sad?
That's
Exactly.
different.
Thank you.
Immigration
Thank
reform
you.
is really
That-
easy to fix.
good
Anna was
point there,
involved in this
Jamal.
early on. It's really easy to fix. Both parties don't want to do it. They don't want to do it. They use it as a football, and look what happens.
Well-
It really is. Give them a temporary worker. I can go to Starbucks right now and get my credit card approved in 15 seconds. Why can't a worker have a card that says they're legally here to work and check it out in 15 seconds? Why?
in this race,
He's
obviously
Hispanic,
in New
isn't he?
York, because of the issue of the conflict in Gaza, Mamdani's stances on Israel are
just flipped the
a big
script.
part of the race,
Well,
right?
because there's what, almost a million.
Yeah, more Jews in New York than any place except for
right.
Israel, right? But it also seems that he can't ever fully address them because the fact of his being a Muslim is being used as evidence that he is anti-Semitic in this race right now. And I'm not sure that that's going to float with a lot of the New Yorkers who voted for him, who have complex views on this and don't want to be labeled as anti-Semitic.
You know,
I'm not hearing no more of this shit.
Man, it's very interesting that they're like weaponizing his identity against him. But I mean, you have
That
to
is
be
crazy,
you have to
though.
be realistic. It is something that is working against him. Like if we're gonna look up the address the uncomfortableness in the room, address the elephant in the room, we have to be facts. We have to speak facts, and it is a fact that I think that's against him.
That's against
I wouldn't-
everybody that's running, though.
I wouldn't support him because he's not American, and because he's a
But that happens
non-American
in
Muslim.
politics, period.
I just gotta
Trump's
keep it
white.
on it.
He's racist.
Yeah,
They
no
know
one's
this.
against legal immigrants. Like she's a legal immigrant. No one's against legal immigrants. I think if you come to America and you want to work and make America better and use what America has to offer for you,
Cool.
Hey, come on, but there's a process in place. And is it a broken process? Sure, but that doesn't mean you get to skip the line and come here because you want a better life. We all want better lives, and that's just a fact. I don't understand why people just
Yeah. This race shit is just. I mean, but it's gonna continue to happen, man. I mean, it's politics, so I'm not gonna continue. But I mean, this type of shit, what makes it correlating to real life, you know. So I mean, this shit, I guess it's just nothing we can do to stop this shit, man. Unless it's just not brought up anymore, and you guys continue to bring it up.
Oh, they're gonna have
when you
to.
lose a point, like.
They're gonna bring it up every day.
I mean, hey man, this is crazy, guys. It's insane. Hopefully, I'm Eric Adams all the way. It's not because the guy, but if Jamal endorsing him and AOC endorsing him, Eric Adams.
Yeah, Eric Adams.
So let us know what y'all think in the comments, though, guys.